Are you having a laugh?
What?
You just said each member of the team is chosen for their unique abilities. He does exactly what I do.
But better.
Welcome, one and all, to Nox's library, and today we're having a look at the Blades. Now, those of you who are more modern Elder Scrolls fans, like myself, might know the Blades in two formats. The "we're stupid because Delphine is in charge" variety we get in Skyrim, and the "we're the Emperor's bodyguards but fail to guard two emperors in the space of one game" variety we get in Oblivion. Both are essentially katana-wielding weebs who are less than stellar at their jobs. Delphine doesn't do much dragon slaying, and Joffrey's blades let an entire imperial dynasty get snuffed out in the space of a long weekend, although Joffrey had to deal with an actual Daedric prince, so at least he has an excuse, I suppose. The question is, where did this katana obsession come from, and why are the blades sworn to the Dragonborn? At least in theory. Well, for that, we have to go all the way back to the First Era, after the fall of the Alessian Empire and the aftermath of the Thracian Plague, which managed to kill half the continent's population. The Thracian Plague only began to die down after 400 years. I'm gonna let that sink in for a little bit. And by this time, around 2703 of the First Era, Tamriel was invaded by an Akaviri army. Now, the Akaviri had been lurking around for a while, being seen near the shores of the Iliac Bay as early as year 800, with ships being manned by bizarre beasts. These bizarre beasts invaded the continent, and it turned out that they were snake-like humanoids known as the Seiski. While they began raiding the Iliac Bay leading up to the invasion, it didn't properly start until the main Akaviri force hit Skyrim hard. The Seiski invasion went largely unchallenged, and as hardy as the Nords were, they didn't really stand a chance against these katana-wielding snakes, until a certain Colovian general decided to become the main character. Remen Pelennor spoiled my arrival, Cyrodiil. He united the people of Cyrodiil, Skyrim and High Rock against the invaders, and with a bit of help from Morrowind, at the Battle of the Pale Pass, he revealed himself to be Dragonborn with his voice. Legends say that at that moment the invaders bent the knee to Remen, and swore fealty. From there, Remen Cyrodiil had the beginnings of his empire, and took his new force to begin a conquest of Tamriel. Although he had the Nords of Skyrim, the Knights of High Rock and the warriors from Clovier and Nibene, this new Akaviri force made up the bulk of Remen's impressive army. They were highly skilled, disciplined and extremely loyal, because he was apparently the Dragonborn that they had been so desperately seeking. More importantly than all of that, they had that Japanese-inspired armour and katanas, which doesn't do a lot for them tactically, but it does help their aesthetic a lot. I mean, you got to appeal to those weebs somehow. Now, this Akaviri army was so effective that they took to slaying Tamriel's dragons after Remen Cyrodiil had properly established his empire, and the wisest among them formed an organisation known as the Dragon Guard, which was the precursor to the Blades. It is recorded that, while in the service of Remen Cyrodiil and his Dragonborn bloodline, the Dragon Guard conducted a crusade against dragons. By year 2809, they were feared for their dragon-slaying prowess, and they caused dragons to flee into hiding. They even made a record of some of their targets, and this is in a book called the Atlas of Dragons, which you can find in Skyhaven Temple in Skyrim, which details some of the encounters that the Dragon Guard had with their prey. And this includes Paarthurnax, who they couldn't make a move against because of the Greybeards, but it seems Delphine inherited their beef with him. In fact, the Dragon Guard were the ones responsible for the construction of Alduin's Wall and Skyhaven Temple, since they put Remen's face on the front of it, showing their obsession with killing dragons and their love for the Dragonborn. It should be noted that Akaviri culture was more prominent in Remen's empire than Tiber's Septim's, and that the Seiski's importance to this empire caused them to hold a lot of power. So much so that when Remen's line came to an end, Seiski potentates took over, in a similar fashion to how Okato took over after Martin Septim's death. The Seiski led the empire until it finally collapsed, with the last Seiski potentate being assassinated, and this caused the interregnum. And this resulted in a lot of infighting throughout Tamriel. By 579 of the Second Era, the Dragon Guard were in hiding, and we know of one member, the Drake of Blades, aiding in removing Molag Bol's influence from the Imperial City. While it is unknown what happened between 579 and when the Blades would first emerge as allies of Tiber Septim during the Battle of Sancre-Tor in 852, I'm willing to bet that the Drake of Blades probably had something to do with the Dragon Guard being rebranded into the Blades. Still, the Blades kept true to the duties of the Dragon Guard, and while dragon slaying wasn't on the menu anymore, they served the Septims as loyal bodyguards and elite soldiers in a similar fashion to their predecessors. After all, the Septims carried the blood of the dragon, similarly to how Rem and Cyrodiil's bloodline did the same before them. The problem is, I haven't found a lot of evidence that the Blades were on par with the Chads of the Dragon Guard. The Dragon Guard was initially made up of Seiski dragon slayers, but the Blades were just regular Tamrielic dudes, and this got shown off most when Septim V tried to invade Akaviri. The Blades were sent to gather intel, deciding to invade in Seiski lands, but the intel gathering skills of the Blades proved inadequate, as they failed to properly gauge the strength of the Seiski forces, resulting in the invasion's complete failure and the death of an emperor. Because they're the Emperor's bodyguards as well, I assume that a lot of them were actually there with Septim during his final battle. They then went on a generationally terrible run in Oblivion, with Septim VII and all of his heirs getting assassinated bar one, his illegitimate son Martin. Unfortunately for Martin, he's played by Sean Bean, and you know what that means, because when he turns into a dragon, he gets mortally wounded by Mehrunes Dagon and eventually dies too, thus ending the Septim bloodline.
You had one job. Just the one?
Now, without a Dragonborn, this kinda left the Blades out of a job. Remember, they follow the Emperor because they are Dragonborn, not the other way around, so when Titus Mede I inherits the Empire with a really impressive string of military victories, the Blades sort of just don't do anything. They get replaced by the Penitus Oculatus, and only lift a finger when they see the growing might of the Thalmor, working alongside the Empire to try and stop them. The Blades, rather arrogantly, believe that they are more than a match for the Thalmor, working in the shadows, but as we've already established, they aren't the Chads that the Dragon Guard were, and they weren't that successful in hampering the Thalmor before the Great War, with all the Blades in the lands of the Dominion getting killed off. They did do enough to earn the Thalmor's ire, however, and they were pushed into hiding and being hunted after the Great War's conclusion and the signing of the White Gold Concordant, which officially disbanded them. Sure, they went to make some kind of comeback in Skyrim, but I'm not sure what Delphine is doing is very true to the Blades. Now, I suppose you could argue that her obsession with the dragon slaying aspect of the organisation makes her version of the Blades more in line with the Dragon Guard, which I've been praising a lot in this video. However, she also tries to boss the Dragonborn around rather than listening to and advising them. The entire point of both the Dragon Guard and the Blades is to follow and advise the Dragonborn, not respecting their decision to keep Paarthurnax alive, especially since he is the premier teacher of the Thu'um, is ultimately going against what both the Dragon Guard and the Blades are all about. Weirdly, the Greybeards actually fulfill this role of being advisors and helpers to the Dragonborn more than the Blades do. They just don't offer their swords in service to them. And it's partially why I have such a strong disdain towards Delphine. She is dismissing thousands of years of history to chase her own agenda and carry on an irrelevant beef, rather than serve and guide the Dragonborn. It's pretty idiotic considering that the Dragonborn is the only thing that gives her version of the Blades any kind of legitimacy. And hopefully you now know the history of the Blades better than she does.
And so the bag was born again, as the wolves of Yarbasker, to rule in life and serve in death, as the moonlight's dark hunter.